Hello, everybody. Welcome. We are continuing our series with everything you wanted to know about the Silva method. Today, it's everything you wanted to know about the alpha theta state and why it is important to you, your meditation practice, and specifically for us as Silva instructors, the Silva Kin. I know you get this question. I know I get this question. I know a lot of other instructors get this question too from students who come through our classes is how do I know I'm in alpha? How do I reach that alpha theta state? There has been so much progress made in learning more about these brainwave frequencies. I wanted to throw that question to you today.
I think it's important that you recognize, guys, as you listen to this, is that when you understand what we're doing and why it's important, then the application is just so much more effective. And I say that because I've been doing this since 1971, this work. As you may know, I'm the lead instructor, and there's so many myths and superstitions about alpha, theta, and depending on who you read and so on. So right off the top, I'd like to say that it's a very common state of being that we're in, not just when we're sleeping. The brain, if you look behind me, the chart, we move from beta, our conscious state, into light sleep, alpha, deeper sleep, theta, and deeper sleep, delta. It's a natural state. And even during the day, we're fluctuating. That the key is, are you able to sustain the state consciously and direct and focus it? That's what's important about it. And it ties in about this alpha theta state. So if I may, thank you for letting me jump in because I love this stuff, doing this. In 1970s, early, Life magazine did a featured story on the Silva method, hundreds and hundreds of articles about us. And it was great. They featured transcendental meditation and the Silva method. And it was supposed to be an expose, but the author was so enthusiastic that if you didn't know better, you'd walk away thinking, holy moly, all I have to do is be in alpha and all my problems disappear. And all I have to do is alpha. And obviously I'm serious. Look it up, Google it, you'll find the article. It was a great article. They were very respectful. But I'm making fun that out of context you would get that. And a lot of that is myth for that. So let's just look for that. Is that in the Silva method, we use relaxation. We're a verbal training technique to cause the brain to shift from wakefulness to alpha and theta. In our early studies in biofeedback, we know that to be fact. You might say, big deal. The big deal is if we study human development from in mom's womb, especially in the third trimester, to infancy, and then adolescence, etc., to adulthood, we know that children learn so much faster than adults. Some have said 25 times faster. They are in an accelerated learning state. They're like huge sponges, bigger than SpongeBob. And they just absorb everything that they hear and witness. And they learn, and they're prodigious memories, up until about the age of 7 especially, the formative years. If you monitor their brainwave activity, their brain is not fully developed yet. They have not fully evolved. It's not until the late 20s, some say early 30s. But they are predominantly in their waking state in alpha and theta, depending what age. And that's part of what Mr. Silva recognized, that when people are relaxed, they learn faster, easier, because there's less stress hormones in the body, and the more calm. And in that calm state, you're going to absorb. And that's the significance. So truly, when you can close your eyes, you could do it with eyes open, by the way, but it's a lot easier to do it with eyes closed and less distractions. Because as soon as your eyes are open, there's light coming in, and that activates conscious awareness. That activates beta, closing the eyes in a dark room, quiet space, less sensory input. So these are things we do in the training. The significance being is real simple. It's like you've turned on a supercomputer. We're all impressed with our phones, right? And how smart they are. And our laptops. It's amazing the computing power. I've heard many of scientists say that you have the same computing power and more. We're in our infancy in understanding the brain. When you consciously attune to an alpha and theta state through meditation, although we use dynamic meditation. If all you do is meditate, that's great. It's good for your well being. Mr. Silva found in his 22 years of initial research was that you can, with practice, with proficiency, consciously attune to that state and direct your thoughts, direct your imagination, direct your visualization, direct your feelings to accentuate, to accelerate your learning. So if you want to change habits and patterns of behavior that are holding you back, if you want to improve your golf game, your tennis game, if you want to improve your communications, if you want to improve your dance moves, if you're studying dance or tech skills, like me, I was a student flunking out of Boston University. I learned Silva in 71 after completing 2 years at BU, and I wound up graduating using the three fingers technique, cum laude. I was the youngest instructor on the planet and doing it. Not because I'm special, because I simply learned how to use what I have. The point is, if you look on the chart behind me, the green and red state, it's like a supercomputer, an accelerated learning, a super learning state. Brain science now explains that to us. So any aspect you do, so when you can consciously stay awake, in that state, you're also accessing your subconscious. And we all know there's a whole nother topic. The subconscious is what drives us. All the habits, the behaviors, the patterns. Yes, the neural patterns. When you can sustain consciously in the alpha theta state, you are consciously attuning to a subconscious state. And that's when you can attune to your authentic self, your true power. With the training and practice, you can direct it and, so to speak, rewire your brain and create new patterns. That's the significance of it and why we incorporate. So we are the original Alpha Theta trainer. I know Amy knows that. Amy's got better than 20 years experience and so on.
Yes, what I love about the specific Alpha Theta training we do, and it makes me always think how Mr. Silva was just a man before his time in really utilizing what our bodies and minds already naturally do. And can I see your, what I lovingly call the blue book, the Silva Method of Mind Control in the background?
Product placement.
One of the things he says, a lot of people have read that book. A lot of students who come in have already read that book. He very much mentions that in the morning when we're first waking up, alpha, theta, it's a part of our sleep state. It's also a part of that transition into our waking state with beta. One of the best times to use your visualization and your imagination for the day that you want is you're already there. You don't even necessarily have to do anything. You're there. If you're aware that when you first wake up, you're already in that alpha theta state before you look at your phone, before you get up and start moving around, you can focus on the type of day you want. I like in the alpha theta state too. I'm from the South. We love our sweet tea. And I remember my grandmother always taking the hot tea, steeping the tea, and then putting her sugar in. When it's hot, the sugar is going to melt. It's going to be very easy to incorporate in with the tea. But if she had put the tea in the refrigerator, taken it out the next day and put the sugar in, a lot harder to incorporate. So I liken the cold tea with sugar to our critical thinking, logical thinking, that beta brainwave. We're thinking about it. We're having to question it. We're not really allowing it to incorporate until we can figure it out logically. And then the hot tea with sugar, where it's easily incorporated, that's where everything's more relaxed. We can really learn faster and easier. That waking state, right? When we first wake up, we're already relaxed if we don't get up and start moving around too much. And that really just makes the most impression because it incorporates easier into our life, especially if that day you're, thinking about all the things you have going on. Ken, I know you do a great job in Silva Mastery, setting your day up for success in the morning. What is it that you want to accomplish out of your day? What would that look like? How would it benefit you? I know we talked about that in our video last week to utilize visualization and imagination and really increase that feeling of why it's important and that alpha state, the first thing in the morning. Use that visualization, use your imagination for what you want in your day, and it will incorporate better.
I'm going to use that. I love that about your sugar in your tea. I use honey. That's excellent because it's easier and more consistent. It's going to work. And by the way, you definitely want to go back to the prior episode, the importance of imagination, visualization to manifest, to co-create, and the importance of cultivating creative imagination, which is another way of saying you first got to conceive of the possibility that you can change, improve, enhance what you're doing in your life. And then visualize it and make sure you then add the visual is important. What's just as important, some might say more, the feeling as if it's happened already. That's the key, which brings me to this question about alpha and demystifying it. I have a couple of videos out there about how do I know I'm in alpha? And I've heard that question come up. And please excuse me, I have a silly sense of humor, but I'm notorious for saying if you're asking that question, you're definitely not there.
Yep.
Because what you've introduced is critical thinking. And the key with any meditation technique, let alone Silva's dynamic meditation, is you surrender to the process. You let it go. You take it for granted. If millions have done this before you, there's no reason why you cannot do it too. And if all the research shows follow this step, follow that, which is what we teach, you really have, I'm not asking you to have blind faith, but you do need to have a level of trust and faith in who you're studying with and the research behind it. Stop asking the question and take it for granted. What Amy said about owning your morning is the way you own the day. It's an easy time to do it in the morning, especially if you're just starting out, because you're there already. It takes at least 30 minutes. There are people who, famous Silva graduates, who have taught that in business, owning the day with respect to it. So, my friends, stop asking the question, am I there? Ask, what do I want to achieve? What do I want to change or improve? Be clear about your intention. Have a goal. And as you start to make progress, as some would say, think big, start small. And even if you make itty bitty progress. In our classes, Amy, she's reviewed more than any instructor I know. She knows the material. She doesn't need to for that because you're always expanding your awareness and understanding. It's hard to put it for somebody who's been practicing for nearly 55 years. It doesn't get old because you're always peeling layers of an onion. There's a term in wisdom schools, spiritual teaching, the art of surrender. I'm not saying do it blindly, but have goals, clear intention. As you make progress, note it. And in my class, I often say, okay, guys, we just did a little short 7-minute meditation. Do you feel at least a little bit calmer, more relaxed than when you came in? Hands go, yes.
Same here.
Back, you need that feedback. You need to evaluate. You don't need to be relaxed to be in an alpha state. We use it because it's important. It's important to help reduce inflammation in the body, to help pump up the immune system, which helps us to be healthier, stronger, more vital, to get into homeostasis, which means the body's balanced and we've released a lot of the stress hormones for that. Those are my thoughts on alpha and theta. I hope it helps. It's just a fun experience with this. And the book, by the way, I know I flashed it up. It's been republished, reprinted, I don't know, maybe 20 times or more. So the cover is a little bit different. I don't have the new cover, but it's Silva Mind Control Method by Jose Silva and Philip Mealy. Like Mealy, the appliance people, Miele. Be prepared. It's like a slow boat to China, but it's a little outdated, the language, because we've upgraded. There's a lot of research that wasn't available to Mr. Silva in the 70s that now basically verifies what we're doing. And it's helped people like Amy and I and our team here in the US, all over the world, we have instructors, to add clarity to why we do, why it works. And when you understand the what and the why, you'll have much more success with the how to. And I know I said it was my very last thought. I want to finish with this. There's no quick fix. And if you're looking for a quick fix, this isn't for you. And if you're looking for a quick fix, good luck. And anybody who's selling you quick fix and taking shortcuts, no matter who they are with this, again, good luck with that because you'll be very limited what you can accomplish. And it can be frustrating. It works when you work it. And when you have that in your mind and you're patient, you'll be thrilled and amazed the progress you'll make. So be consistent.
Exactly. And
Mm.
also, when you are learning the Silva method, when you do go through a class, I hope you do go through an in-person 4-day Silva Life and Intuition immersion class with either myself, with Ken, with any of our instructors here in the US. When you do, and with practice, 15 minutes a day, that's it. As little as 15 minutes a day. You can do more. It's cumulative, even though it's not a quick fix. If you dedicate 15 minutes, first thing in the morning, last thing in the evening, or at lunch, which, by the way, those are the 3 best times to meditate and access those alpha theta states, you will start to see progress and start to look at the contrasts of, did I feel, as Ken said just a few moments ago, do I feel a little better than I did yesterday or this morning? Notice any differentiators in what your goals are, and that will help you to continue and sustain and be consistent. So, those are my thoughts, Ken.
Whenever we get together, we bounce ideas off each other to build on that. And let's honor people's time. And if you're still here, thank you. It says a lot about you. You're a serious student. You're the kind of student Amy and I would like to work with for that. The 15 minutes, why it's also important is in the early days, Herbert Benson said you needed 20, 30 minutes to get into homeostasis, balance. Current research, brain science, which is much more specific and detailed, 13 minutes would do the trick. Interesting enough, Jose Silva always said 15 minutes. The 15 minutes is good because it helps to promote good health, well-being. And if you take an alpha break, we call them, in the middle of the day, you'll get more done, have more energy, and be more present with your family over dinner or whatever you're doing after you finish your workday. It's so important because stress just builds up and builds up in the body, and it's sneaky, the little things that get us. So I would add that eyes closed, find a comfortable position, 3 slow, deep breaths, feel some gratitude, appreciation. What's your intention? What's your goal? I want to have a lovely meal with my wife. I want to be fully present and enjoy her company. Maybe you're going to a meeting. And if you do that, we'd love to hear from you. You'll feel better, think more clearly, and get more done in less time because you're making less mistakes. You're thinking more clearly, you're more focused, you have more energy. Thank you kindly. Amy, I love you for putting this together. We were just joking, we're each other's accountability partner, and we'll be putting out more as time goes by.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. Have an amazing and better day.